Only been a few hours, but it felt like days. Only been days, but it felt like months. Been gone for a year, only know like once. Life moves fast when you do what you want.
Hey girls, welcome back to Dream Bigger, Live Larger podcast. I am your host, Adeline Lys, and today we're going to be talking about healing our inner child. Things we went through as a child, learning how to become our own superhero, and basically understanding like what it is we need to do to become our better self. And if you guys are interested, keep on listening, keep on watching, and yeah, let's get right into the episode. All right, so when it comes down to healing our inner child, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. We need to understand knowing what we've been through as a child and becoming our own superhero. Like, what does that mean to us? And if you see me looking down, I got my notes. Basically, I'm gonna be really transparent with you guys. When I was that's the door. Sorry, guys. When I was a child, I felt like I wasn't seen, I wasn't heard. And growing up in a Haitian household, it was destructive. It was very like, especially growing up in a Haitian household, growing up as the only girl in the family, meaning like I had no sisters. I literally became the Thanos of the family. Because when I got older, I started speaking my mind. And if anyone knows, growing up in a Caribbean household is the adults versus the children. And it was basically hard for me to even develop independence and speaking up for myself because I was always being shut down. And I had to learn how to speak up because I was also using that as not standing up for myself in the real world. So everything that was happening in my household, I was taking it out in the real world. And it was really hard because it's like, a lot of people were like, well, you gonna take that? Like, you was gonna let that person disrespect you? You was gonna like, I had to learn like, nah, I really have to put these big girl panties on and really understand like, yo, it's hard. And I have to stand up for myself. I have to be vocal. And when you are disputing, when you're having an argument with Caribbean parents, even parents in general, it doesn't even have to be Caribbean parents. It's really hard because it's like, I'm the adult of the household, whatever I say goes. But it's like, sometimes you have to understand, well, I disagree with what you're saying. You're hurting my feelings. I don't like what you're doing. Like, even when you start to talk, it's like you're talking back. It's like, what do you mean you don't like what I'm doing? What do you mean? Like, when you start standing up for yourself, it becomes a disrespect. That's what I'm saying. So, child, it was hard, bro. It was hard. It was really hard. And it became frustrating to the point where it was like, yo, if I'm gonna be the bitch of the family, let me be the bitch of the family. Cause now let me really get nitty and gritty with y'all. Cause y'all ain't gonna sit here and play my body. Like, that's how I was really speaking. And especially being a female in my household, it was really me and my mother going at it when I was younger. It was just me and my mother. Cause it's like, we were bumping heads, and it's like the reason we were bumping heads is because of how we grew up. Like, my mother raised me as she was raised, of course. All parents raise their child on how they were raised. But it got to the point where it was like, you bugging. Like, I'm not about to sit here and listen to anything. So I can't say I became disrespectful. Let me lie. It was times and times. I'm gonna be real. Times and times again, I was disrespectful. But it was just because I was frustrated on what the heck was going on in the household. And that's when I realized, like, I had to heal my inner child. It got to the point where it was like, bro, when I get older and people was telling me, well, I am older, but back then when people was telling me, like, even friends that I used to hang out with and teachers I used to hang out, and I used to hang out with teachers I used to go to after school and speak with, they were like, Adeline, you gotta be more vocal. You gotta start standing up for yourself. Like, you got to start speaking up for yourself when you know something does not feel right to you. And it took me years to learn this. And it wasn't until a point of time when I was a senior in high school. Shout out to Claire Barton. I was a senior in high school, and I had an English class. And my teacher, Miss John, I will never forget, we were doing a lesson. And she explained to me, like, yo, well, not just to me, to the whole class. She was like, in life, you need to do what's right for yourself. You need to start speaking up for yourself when you know you're being wronged and things aren't feeling like right for you. And she said this, and it stuck to me. And I'm 27, mind you, I was 18. This is like 9 years ago. She told me, if you got a parking ticket and a police officer did something wrong, meaning like you weren't supposed to get that parking ticket, are you going to speak up, or are you just going to pay for that ticket? Are you going to waste $65 for something that you know was wrong, or are you going to be like, hey, forget it, let me just pay for it? Or are you going to speak up? And I was looking at her, and she was talking to the class, but I felt like that message was directly towards me. And it got me looking like, damn, nah, I ain't gonna pay for no $65 for something for a parking ticket that was just not supposed to be for me. Or he just did something, or she did something wrong as a police officer. I'm gonna speak up. But that's what I was saying in my head. But in reality, back then, I was gonna pay that $65 ticket. I was gonna pay that $65 ticket. I was, because I was scared. I was scared to speak up. And it didn't get to the point where I started understanding, like, yo, I'm gonna really have to be my own superhero, because no one's gonna save me in these type of situations unless I start understanding, like, yo, I gotta speak the fuck up. So when it came down to really understanding, like, how hard it was for me to speak up, I don't know what happened to me one day, but one day I was fed up with my family. Mind you, nothing abusive, nothing, regular family situations, arguments or whatever. And I started spazzing the hell out. I was fed up. And then it felt, to outside looking in, it felt great that I used my voice. But then it got to a point when it was family against me. And I became comfortable with it. And the family kind of looked at me like, yo, she's being a bitch. I loved it, to be honest, because I felt a security. I felt like, damn, did I just say that? Hell the fuck yeah, I just said that. And I meant it too. I'm standing on business. I was standing alone, but I was standing on business. You feel me? And I ain't mind it. I was cool. I ain't mind it at all. I didn't care if people viewed me as a troublemaker, as a person that was being disrespectful or talking back. I felt good. I felt wonderful knowing that I was fed up and I said something about it. I literally forgot what the argument was about, but I knew when I was speaking, everybody listened and heard what the fuck I had to say. And I was literally, I think, 18, 19 at the time when this happened. And it felt great. It felt great. I was like, yeah, I'm standing up for myself. And if y'all want beef, I'm with it. Like, what's up? I did not care. I didn't care. I did not give a damn. Okay? I did not care. I was like, yeah, what's up? Fight me. Not to my mother, of course. But, like, I was with it. Okay, I was with it. So, knowing how to heal your inner child is being aware of the challenges and trauma you've been through. So having a voice was my struggle. Like, that was something that I had to work on. But for you guys, it might be a totally different situation. But it's basically, for example, whether you dealt with abuse, being broke, moving a lot, not having stability, being bullied, insecurities, just not knowing who you were, etc., etc., etc. For my girls out there, there's so much things that people don't know about you, that people don't even know you've been through if you haven't shared it already, or if you just never spoke about it. But one thing I could tell you is that it's our job as a human being, it's our job as girls to really dive deep into healing our inner child. It's our job to be our protector, to be our own superwoman. Because we can no longer depend on people to save us. Especially if they don't know your backstory. Especially if they don't know what you've been through. You cannot expect someone to continue saving you and you're having expectations, and when you're let down, everything starts to crumble. Like, you have to understand, like, no one is going to stand up for you and be that superhero unless you do it for yourself. You have to be your own superhero. So if you knew, like, for example, you didn't have a lot of money growing up, and you know when you get older you have to start making decisions on, like, yo, I have to start making sure I'm I have financial freedom or financial stability, or I'm stable regardless. I'm comfortable. Like, I don't have to worry about when's the next meal coming in or when's the next check coming in. Like, I have everything planned out. For example, whether it's knowing that you have a lot of insecurities growing up, whether it's colorism, whether it's your weight, whether it's the way your nose look, whether it's the way you grew up, whatever the insecurities are, everything in life is fixable. It takes time. Of course it takes time. Everything takes patience and time. But let's be real. I don't want us growing up, whether we're going to become mothers one day, whether we enter a relationship, whether we enter friendships, and dragging our unhealed inner child onto those relationships, onto those new chapters, and we destroy the good things that are to come. Healing your inner child isn't something that is going to be overnight. It's not going to be overnight. But you have to understand how to find peace, how to heal, how to ask for help, and how to avoid and isolate yourself with things that does not suit you, or things that are going to trigger some of those traumas, some of those hardships. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes down to being our superhero, the superwoman that we need to be, we cannot continue to start to enter a new chapter with our old self. We're gonna need to learn how to find peace, heal, change what is going on, because it ain't easy. We need to change it. So when it comes down to knowing yourself, learn how to give yourself the world. Giving yourself what you weren't able to as a child. Work hard to change what you want. So this is what dream and live means for this episode. So dream equals for a better life. Imagine what it is you want to change and accomplish. Live equals learning to live and heal those traumas by taking action and reminding yourself that you are human, and you have to take it day by day. That's all I have for you, lovely audience. To my girls. That's all I have for you guys for today's episode. If you love listening to Dream Bigger, Live Larger podcast, like it, share it. YouTube, of course. YouTube is Dream Bigger, Live Larger podcast, and it's streaming all over platforms. So share it with your friends, listen to it in the car, and just take it day by day. I am your host again, Adeline Lys, and I will see you guys in my next episode. Love you. Bye.